Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Sobat Tadabur. Kali ini kita akan mendengarkan sebuah ceramah dari Ustadz Nauman Ali tentang bahaya sesuatu yang sering diremehkan oleh orang, tetapi itu bahaya sesuatu yang bisa menghancurkan kita.
And then Allah talks about the big one, and that's the one I really want to end this conversation with, even though there's more to go. But Allah makes such a big deal out of this subject that again, just like there were 3 ayat about Judgment Day, now there are وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ إِلَّا عَلَى أَزْوَاجِهِمْ أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ غَيْرُ مَلُومِينَ فَمَنِ ابْتَغَى وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ. 3 ayat about the same subject again. The only other subject that got 3 ayat was what? In this list. What's the only other subject that got 3 ayat? Judgment Day. Judgment Day and punishment. This is the next subject that gets 3 ayat. And you know what the subject is? Shamelessness. People who guard their privates. We live in the ultimately shameless world today. The world in which streaming videos off of any website are available on your mobile device. The age in which the pornography industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. The point of which, the agenda of which is to make sure every one of you is a consumer of filth in one way or another. That every man, woman, and child is exposed to this stuff, and they're hoping you are, so you become addicted to it, so you become yet another consumer. This is the gift of pornography to society. It's creating people, turning people into animals and perverts. And some of you, unfortunately, have that addiction. And you're watching this stuff online. And you're watching it and saving it on your apps and your mobile devices. And you don't feel bad about it anymore. You've justified it to yourself. And you feel bad about it once in a while, but you go back to it. And as a result, you think, oh, well, at least I'm not hurting anybody. At least I'm not doing it to anybody else. I'm just watching this stuff. It's okay. But you know what's happening to you? Inside, your soul is being just gutted. You have no soul left inside of you. So your prayers are empty and you can't even shed a tear in your salat because your heart is so devoid of the fear of Allah because of the filth you've been watching all this time. It's turned you from a human being into an animal. So you can't even look. A woman passes by and you see a piece of flesh walking by. You don't see a human being walking by that deserves respect. You check everybody out and everything out. You're constantly gawking and staring. You have a hard time putting your eyes down. When you're on the subway, when you're on campus, when you're at work, you're walking down the street, you just can't help it. You see a billboard, you take a second look, you see a third look. You don't miss any opportunity to just to violate your soul with your eyes. You're addicted completely. And then you say, brother, how do I get khushu' and salat? What world are you living in? What world are you living in? Ayyuhal ikhwa, my brothers. Specifically my brothers. And I know some sisters have this issue too. It's a sad reality. This is a war. This is a war. This is more dangerous than any military war. This is the war that's destroying our souls. It's making its way into our homes. It's making its way, if I want to protect my children from this stuff as much as possible. But when my child goes to school, and it doesn't matter if it's Islamic school, there's a very high statistical likelihood that someone, a friend, with their iPod, with their mobile device, will say, hey, look at this. It's a very realistic, a thing nowadays. It's not far-fetched. And so I have to prepare my children for the filthy world that they're going to be brought up in. And there's no escape from this stuff anymore. There isn't. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. You have Islamic lectures followed up by, those YouTube puts those follow-up clips, and something will be filthy. Something will have to be filthy. And I don't think that's by accident. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think that stuff is an accident. And what happens to you guys is you watch a video, you see something filthy, you click it, you click something else, and you end up watching disgusting things. That's what happens to you. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ. Especially when it comes to their privates, they guard them. They guard their shame. Brother, what's the solution? Should I get married? Like the guy who asked the other day, how can I get married right now? No, guys, the solution is not marriage. Because if you're a pervert, then you're going to be a pervert after marriage too. If you have no shame now, you will have no shame after marriage. Honestly. You think marriage is going to end your problems? No. Your problem isn't marriage. Your problem is spiritual in nature. Your problem is psychological in nature. You need help. You need to stop this. You need to stop hurting yourself like this. You will have nothing, there will be nothing left inside you. I just had an email from a teenager who's addicted to pornography, an anonymous email, 14, 15-year-old teenager. Says, I want to kill myself. I can't stop. I've been watching it since I was 11. My parents don't know. I read this stuff and I cry, because he's not one. There's millions of Muslim kids like this. Millions. Millions of them. We have to help these people. We have to do whatever we can. And we don't have the trillions of dollars of advertising to counter that. We don't. And it's not realistic for me to say Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, internet, it's all haram. It's not realistic, because it's a reality. It's as common as oxygen now. The only thing we can do is have a mature conversation about this and teach our youth to deal with this and navigate this and not fall into it. The elders that are here, stop watching Indian movies, man. Why are you sitting in a lecture talking about salat and the importance of salat, and you don't guard your shame? Mother and daughter and husband and wife and sister sitting together watching whatever? God, come on. Stop. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ. They guard their privates. But guarding your privates doesn't mean you don't commit zina. It means everything that leads to the temptation. Everything that leads to it. They watch it. They guard it. They know it's under attack. They know that their shame is under attack. They realize that their weakness is their urges. Those urges that Allah put inside of us, that are so strong. Allah put them there for a reason. He did. And every one of you have them. You don't have to, I don't have to have a dalil for you to have them. I know. The guys that are here. You all suffer that challenge every single day of your life, especially in a city like this one. And you have to really go out of your way to guard yourselves. This passage is not about high goals. This is about the bare minimum. I told you that, right? This is the bare minimum, folks. The bare minimum is we guard ourselves from shamelessness. We wage a war within ourselves against that tendency. And I know some of you have tried to quit before and you go back. And you've tried to quit before and you go back again. And you go back again. And you keep falling into that trap. I know some of you have done that. And you're struggling with it. But don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. And whatever it takes, if you just don't be alone. Don't be by yourself. Be with good friends. Be outside. Study somewhere else. Go to the library and study. Go somewhere where other people are around. Because when you're by yourself, shaitan gets you. And if the fear of Allah isn't enough for you, at least the fear of other people will work for you. At least something's better than nothing. For those, I've said this in other talks before, for the parents here, if you have a computer in the house, please don't make it a laptop. Have a desktop in the house with a really big monitor. Get the biggest monitor you can find. Honest to God, and make sure your computer is in the kitchen or in the dining room. Don't put it in the living room. Don't put it in the kids' room. Don't put it in your bedroom. Put it in the dining room, facing the public. You want to do homework, do it over there. Though you can't move the monitor this way or that way. It's facing everybody. That's how you should have it. This stuff, we have to take these precautions. Don't give your 11-year-old a smartphone. What were you thinking? That's not very smart. Don't give them a smartphone. Why am I seeing kids in Islamic school, 5th graders, with iPhones? iPhone 5s. I don't have an iPhone 5. Why do you have an iPhone 5? With 4G, you know how dangerous that stuff is? وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ إِلَّا عَلَىٰ أَزْوَاجِهِمْ, except upon their spouses, أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ غَيْرُ مَلُومِينَ, or what their right hands possess, then they're not to be blamed. Allah says we have these urges and we can execute those urges, we can release those urges, but to the halal spouse, to the spouse, our spouses. But outside of that, we can't. And by the way, when people get addicted to this sort of thing, and they get accustomed to it, or they get over and overly exposed to it, they have miserable marriages. And marriages start falling apart. They have this virtual idea of what pleasure means, and they don't find pleasure in their spouse anymore. And there's great fitna that comes into the family. It destroys homes. Muslim homes. That's what's happening in our world today. Allah talks about the people who make salah, and He says, I'm describing the people who make salah, because this is the mawsuf, al-musallin, then alladhina, all the alladhinas, all the asma' mawsula here, are the wasf, the sifa of it, which means the people of salah are the people who protect their shame, are the people who fear judgment day, are the people who, they are constant in their prayers. These are the people. فَمَنِ ابْتَغَى وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ. The people who pursue anything beyond that, then they are the ones engaged in aggression. This is an act of aggression. You know when adu is mentioned, or adi, adin from adu, from ada ya'du, right? Al-adun. Al-adawa in Arabic means animosity. Allah says, whoever pursues their urges to be fulfilled outside of the halal, outside of the marriage, whoever pursues that, then they are engaged in an act of aggression. The question is, aggression against who? Because when you say enemy, then you have to say enemy of who? If they've become an enemy, who have you become an enemy to? Allah didn't mention a maf'ul bihi, no jar majroor, nothing related to it. You know what that means? They are an enemy to themselves, their family. They become an enemy even to Allah's teaching. You know, these are the kinds of people. The most important asset you and I have is our hearts. And this shamelessness destroys the hearts. It destroys it. The most precious thing you and I have to preserve is our iman. And these filthy images is destroying your iman. They're tearing your iman apart. Don't let it happen to you. Do not let it happen to you. And I can only talk about this. I can't stop you from doing anything. And nobody else can. You will have to police yourself. You will have to control yourself. You'll have to make the decision, is my iman important enough? Is my salat important enough?
Udah selesai ya videonya?
Udah.
Jadi kira-kira apa nasihat dari beliau di video itu?
Jauhi hal-hal yang bisa merusak hati.
Ya, ini lebih spesifik ke pornografi kan, pembahasan Ustaz Nauman Ali. Tahu nggak ini videonya udah berapa tahun? Ini videonya sudah dari 8 tahun yang lalu. Dan yang terjadi di masyarakat tuh semakin hari justru semakin luar biasa, banyak hal-hal yang buruk telah terjadi. Jadi apa yang disampaikan beliau ya semakin menunjukkan bukti. Baru-baru ini ada yang seorang santri yang menikah tanpa wali, baru berusia 16 tahun. Nah, dinikahi oleh pemilik pondok pesantrennya, tapi tanpa wali. Nah, alasannya pakai mazhab Hanafi. Tapi sebetulnya itu jumhur ulama mewajibkan adanya wali nikah. Jadi yang lebih sahih tentunya harus ada wali nikah. Kalau tidak ada wali nikah, itu namanya perzinahan. Dan itu memang tipu daya. Dia memang ditipu. Kalau kita melihat wawancaranya, memang perempuan itu memang ditipu, diperdaya. Nah, sampai yang kasihan sekali itu bapaknya itu, masya Allah, beliau itu orang tua yang sangat menyayangi putrinya. Dia tidak memarahi putrinya, dia menyadari itu kelalaiannya. Cuman sangat sedih kita melihatnya, beliau menangis sangat terpukul. Ya, bagaimana tidak kita sebagai seorang bapak, anak kita dibodoh-bodohin. Itu sangat luar biasa emosinya. Tapi nggak mungkin menumpahkan amarah kepada anak, karena anak itu ya hasil didikan orang tua. Jadi ya beliau itu menyadari itu, sehingga beliau menangis, menahan emosinya. Belum lagi kasus-kasus yang banyak sekali terjadi. Nah, jadi kita sebagai umat muslim, ini harus benar-benar menjauhkan pornografi. Jadi syaitan itu akan selalu membisikkan godaan, dan ini pun terjadi kepada para sahabat. Para sahabat dahulu mereka pernah mengadu kepada Rasulullah, ya Rasulullah, sesungguhnya di pikiran kami itu seringkali, wahai Rasulullah, kami terkadang menjumpai lintasan pikiran pada diri kami yang andaikan kami dijatuhkan dari langit, lebih kami sukai daripada mengungkapkan lintasan pikiran itu. Jadi para sahabat pun seperti manusia yang lainnya. Akan selalu ada syaitan yang menggoda, karena Rasulullah menyebutkan setiap manusia itu ada syaitan, qarin dari bangsa jin yaitu syaitan, dan qarin dari malaikat yang memperingatkan kebaikan kepada dia. Dan Rasulullah juga termasuk juga, beliau juga diganggu syaitan, akan tetapi beliau dengan pertolongan Allah, kata beliau berhasil mengalahkan godaan syaitan. Jadi para sahabat juga begitu. Mereka mengadukan kepada Rasulullah, pikiran mereka itu sering hal-hal buruk. Nah, tapi kata Rasulullah, itu adalah bukti adanya iman. Hadis riwayat Muslim. Ini diriwayatkan oleh Imam Muslim. Jadi kata Rasulullah, buktinya iman, dia itu membedakan dua hal ini. Jadi ketika ada bisikan dalam pikirannya hal-hal yang diharamkan, dia lawan. Tidak dia tuliskan, tidak dia sampaikan kepada orang. Itu bukti adanya iman. Adapun orang yang tidak beriman, dia membiarkan itu, bahkan justru semakin asik dengan maksiat tersebut dalam pikirannya, dan nanti akan berkembang sampai kepada perkataan, dan lambat laun akan sampai ke perbuatan. Itu adalah jalan-jalan dosa. Jadi namanya perbuatan dosa nggak akan muncul secara tiba-tiba, dia bertahap. Mulai dari pikiran, kemudian mulai diucapkan, baru selanjutnya dengan perbuatan. Nah, jadi Ibnu Mas'ud radhiyallahu anhu mengatakan, sesungguhnya seseorang mukmin melihat dosanya itu seakan-akan dia duduk di sebuah gunung dan khawatir gunung tersebut akan menimpanya. Sedangkan orang yang fajir, yaitu yang gemar bermaksiat, dia akan melihat dosanya itu seperti seekor lalat yang lewat begitu saja di hadapan batang hidungnya. Diriwayatkan oleh Imam Al-Bukhari. Jadi maksudnya gimana ini? Coba gimana Mas Siddiq? Ini maksud perkataan Ibnu Mas'ud ini.
Kalau orang yang berilmu itu
beriman,
dia sangat menyesalinya walaupun dosa itu sangatlah kecil.
ya.
Tapi jika orang yang sering bermaksiat, karena sudah sering melakukan kemaksiatan itu, tidak terasa seperti ada sesuatu yang
Dia
beban di dalam
meremehkan
pikirannya.
dosa.
Sudah terhilang dalam pikirannya itu.
Ya, dia akan meremehkan dosa, setiap perbuatan dosa. Nah, jadi orang beriman itu bukan orang yang tidak berdosa, tapi orang beriman itu adalah orang yang ketika dia berdosa, dia bertaubat dan berusaha menjauhi perbuatan dosa tersebut. Seperti nasihat Ustadz Noman Ali kan tadi, ketika orang sudah adiksi pornografi, yang harus dia lakukan, dia nggak boleh menyendiri, ya kan? Bahkan kalau untuk menghindarinya, bahkan ditaruh layar besar tadi ya. Nah, karena kalau dia sendiri, dia akan mudah sekali digoda dan mudah sekali terjatuh kembali. Nah, kalau orang sudah adiksi pornografi, ya nggak lama lagi dia akan jatuh kepada zina. Nah, karena itu jalan-jalan menuju zina, sedangkan Allah menasihati agar jangan mendekati zina. Jadi Allah melarang di surat Al-Isra itu bukan jangan berzina bahasanya, tapi jangan mendekati zina. Artinya apa saja yang mendekatkan kepada perbuatan zina itu termasuk hal yang Allah larang, yaitu termasuk diantaranya hal yang seringkali dianggap biasa di zaman ini. Apa contohnya?
Ya, melihat.
Enggak. Hal yang sangat mendekatkan dengan zina tapi dianggap biasa di zaman ini. Apa contohnya? Yaitu laki dan perempuan jalan bareng, apa namanya?
Campur.
Pacaran. Nah, pacaran. Zaman sekarang disebut, kalau pacaran disebut zina, itu akan banyak yang yang protes, tapi hakikatnya itulah jalan-jalan terdekatnya zina, yaitu fakta dan datanya membuktikan demikian. Walaupun banyak orang protes, walaupun banyak orang tidak suka, tapi itulah kenyataannya. Nah, kalau sampai kita dinasihatkan, kalau sampai kita melihat perzinahan itu menganggap biasa, sebagaimana di zaman Rasulullah itu ada seorang pemuda yang datang kepada Rasulullah. Dia bilang, "Ya Rasulullah, izinkan saya berzina." Tapi Rasulullah, para sahabat marah, tapi Rasulullah mengatakan, "Dekatkan pemuda itu kepadaku." Jadi kata Rasulullah, nggak langsung memarahi pemuda ini, tapi Rasulullah ajak dulu berdialog agar pikirannya terbuka. Kata Rasulullah, "Apakah kamu rela bila zina itu dilakukan kepada bibimu?" Kata pemuda ini menjawab, "Tidak, demi Allah, semoga Allah menjadikan diriku sebagai tebusanmu." Nah, maksudnya beliau nggak mau, pemuda ini tidak mau. Nah, kata Rasulullah, orang lain pun tidak akan rela jika perbuatan zina itu dilakukan kepada bibi mereka. Rasulullah bertanya lagi, "Apakah kamu rela bila zina itu terjadi kepada bibi dari ibumu?" Pemuda ini menjawab, "Tidak ya Rasulullah." Ditanya, kata Rasulullah kembali, "Nah, demikian juga orang lain tidak suka jika bibi mereka dizinai olehmu." Kemudian Rasulullah juga bertanya kepada ibumu, kepada putrimu, kepada saudarimu. Kata pemuda ini, "Tidak ya Rasulullah." Nah, sampai karena udah saking banyaknya pertanyaan itu, kata Rasulullah, orang lain pun tidak akan rela jika zina itu terjadi pada keluarga mereka. Nah, jadi kata pemuda ini, "Demi Allah, aku tidak akan pernah berzina lagi. Aku akan menjauhi zina." Nah, jadi seperti itulah nasihatnya. Jadi kalau zaman sekarang ada orang yang membiarkan keluarganya berzina, berarti dia lebih rendah imannya daripada pemuda Quraisy ini. Subhanallah, padahal mereka dahulu di zaman jahiliyah. Ya, begitulah nasihatnya. Mudah-mudahan selalu diingat. Askar tutup.
Oke, mungkin itu aja sobat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى